Hello, my name is Reverend Todd Boling, and I'm the Senior Associate Chaplain in the Office of Religious and Spiritual Life here at TCU. And thank you for joining us on our virtual Enneagram experience. We're going to start today by looking at some basic information about the Enneagram. I like to start by acknowledging and naming that I've studied this for about 20 years. I was first introduced to the Enneagram as a seminarian. And I spent about 5 years after that doing a deeper study, trying to learn a little bit more about myself and the Enneagram and how it works. And after 5 years of personal study, I was able to begin to apply that work to my work as a chaplain, using the Enneagram to better understand the people that I was working with and how I might care for them. I often get questions about the origins of the Enneagram, and I like to acknowledge that no one knows for certain when the Enneagram was created or where it was created or who created it. But we do find traces of it in early Christianity, or in early Islam, and in early Judaism, our Abrahamic traditions. And over the course of history, it was used in various ways. In 1970s, we see a resurgence around the Enneagram when two psychiatrists discovered it and began to study it more thoughtfully and figure out how can we apply this to modern day people. After careful study, they began to teach what they found to different people across the world. They were in America teaching at a university, and a Jesuit priest was present and began to learn more about the Enneagram and was intrigued by it. He then took it back to Loyola University, where he was a professor, and began to teach seminarians, spiritual directors, lay people, clergy, anyone who was interested in the Enneagram and could find ways to use it to help other people. Over the course of the last 50 years, those people went out and taught other people and shared that information with others. And we find that in this modern day, the Enneagram has once again become something that people are interested in. People are wanting to study more deeply, and they're finding ways to apply it to their lives in really significant and beautiful ways. The purpose of the Enneagram is about self-awareness, enlightenment, and freedom. It's about learning how to maximize our assets and minimize our liabilities. The Enneagram, as with all things, is only beneficial to you if you really spend the time to do deeper study. Deeper studies often yield better results. And so I would encourage you, after we've gone through the various types and learned more about the Enneagram, if you have questions, I'll provide you opportunities to do some deeper work and some deeper research on your own individual type. I like to highlight that the Enneagram itself is centered on a circle. That's important because circles represent equality. There is no head of the table, there's no end of the table, there's no better type, there's no worse type. And the Enneagram is thoughtful in how it engages that, because every type has its assets and every type has its liabilities. Those areas where we all shine and do really well, and those areas where we often find ourselves getting in trouble. So the Enneagram is about teaching us how to become more aware of those things, how we're in healthy and good places, how we can continue to do that. And when we find ourselves stressed out or overwhelmed or feeling negative thoughts and not sure how to move forward, we can hit pause, figure out what's going on and what's wrong, and how do we address that? How do we change it? How can we use what we know about our types within the Enneagram to find healing and a path forward? It's important to name that not everything will feel right about every type. There are variations to each personality type. And so as we describe them over the next few sessions, if you find that you identify with the majority of a particular type, there's a good chance that that's your type. There might be something that isn't quite a good fit, and that's okay too. It doesn't mean that that's not your type, it just means that that particular aspect isn't true for you. We'll talk more about that as we look at the individual types over the next few sessions. But thanks for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you the next time. In the meantime, stay safe and stay healthy.